we're a support coordination service. We provide specialist support coordination, level 2, level 1, and psychosocial recovery coaching. But that's a little bit about me. I might pass it over to Howard to do some housekeeping. And
Hi, my name is Howard. I am a service manager at Global Rehabilitation Service. Welcome everyone to coming here today. So today's event is about driving with a disability. So we will have a few more guests, which Ivana is going to introduce. So for Global Rehabilitation Service, we provide more like comprehensive allied health service, like physiotherapy, speech pathologists, dietitians, physiologists, physical therapy. So yeah, so this is us, and thank you to our space.
Housekeeping.
Oh, housekeeping rules, yes. So we have food right at the end. So we have some sandwich and water. So for the toilet, you have to walk outside the clinic, turn left, and then turn right. There will be a toilet in. The last month was renovating. It's a brand new toilet. Please use it. And also for the purpose of promotions, we will be filming the whole event. So if people do not mind, hopefully people do not mind that we're filming it. So after we film, we will do a promotion video and then put it on LinkedIn and YouTube and things like that. We will have we will highlight and feature each of the individuals with their name and the business in the business. So in that case, I just want to promote everyone business.
Thank you, Howard. I'm Ivania from KTU Community Services. We are a boutique seal provider, primarily on the North Shore, and we have 7 properties across Sydney and Linfield, St Ives, Pymble, also Beecroft and Murrayville. And so we have been organising Building Bridges informative event every month, and we're seeing really good numbers. The event is about engaging with each other for networking and also sharing knowledge and also navigating the NDIS together and sharing those information we have, first-hand information. As Emmanuel's got a team of 20 support coordinators, so we have a lot of first-hand information. And so today, we will be covering what do participants require for driving assessment, when do they need it, what's the legislation, what exactly is a driving assessment. And we also have cover the modification, like what car mod's looking like. And we also have a participant to share her story. So to introduce our driving OT.
You want to talk about the NDIS update first?
Oh yeah, NDIS update.
Sorry,
first.
yes, yes.
okay, so first of all, I'm going to rattle off a few updates, but this is an interactive space. So let's talk about things that are happening for each and every one of you when it comes to some of the updates that are occurring. So please yell out. This is not just me talking at you for 15 minutes. So this section here is about the recent updates. So essentially just updating all of us or each other on what's happening. So I do have a list, but if you guys want to yell out some things that you guys are working on and want to talk about, go for it. This is the space for it now. So first thing, is everyone aware of the portable long service leave scheme coming in and how that operates? I do have a summary document I can send to you guys as well afterwards. So essentially that's coming in 1st of July. I tried and hopefully was hoping that the Service New South Wales would have a portal available beforehand to get us all prepared. No, it's going to start on 1st of July. So, and you have 4 weeks to register any of your staff, by the way. But you don't have to pay anything until April 2026, which is good. So that's coming in pretty quickly. Now, with that coming, we've also got all the recent changes that everyone is probably aware of with the pricing changes, pricing arrangement documents and so on. So does anyone want to yell something out, any changes that they're aware of?
The award was just rolled out, the Sheds Award just got rolled out today. So
yeah, what does that look like?
It's just the increase, the normal 3.5% increase.
Yep.
So no
support
changes,
workers.
no other. They're talking about major changes happening, but it doesn't look like it's changed this year.
Oh,
this month, this coming month.
Yeah, so the increase to the minimum wage and for the support workers and so on. Yeah. So as natural, we've got it's a 3.5% increase to support worker rates that we're all aware of that are coming in. That's every year it's been the way that way. One thing that I noticed from reading the IPC report, if anyone's not familiar, again I've got a summary I'll send to you guys after, is they're looking to change the yearly updates. So they're looking to, I guess, have a particular purpose and then plan those updates or those pricing changes over a 4-year or whatever period. So something that's a bit more what they're calling less random. So essentially they're just reviewing it once a year and saying, okay, we're updating this, this and this. They're planning it for it to be longer. The other thing I wanted to say is, obviously we have the unfortunately allied health professionals, I'm so sorry. You've got the reduction in some of the allied health services, and especially the big one that's impacting everyone is the transport cuts. Is everyone familiar with how the new is working now? Yeah?
It's tough now.
Pretty much, yeah. So, well, they're keeping the timing caps, but they're just obviously reducing the rate to 50% of that timing cap as well. So the other interesting thing is they're bringing out 10-minute increments for therapy now. So now they didn't go through. Okay, well,
It's not mandatory, it's just an example.
an example, yeah. So the transport changes have happened, plus the reduction in pricing for physiotherapy, podiatry, and I think dietetics as well. The OT and the rest were the same, except psychology got an increase as well. Other than that, there was state-based changes were removed as well. I'm sure everyone's probably aware of that as well, which I guess from what I can see is affecting those in rural spaces a lot more now. Because those sort of pricing changes are now going to affect, especially the transport challenges, will affect those in those spaces a lot more. Look, that's just a general overview, but does anyone else want to talk about some of these changes, how they're impacting everyone, or anything else that they wanted to add? Sounds fun. Yeah, look, I think, not to plug next month, but we do have this as a particular topic for next month, where we are inviting specific individuals to come and talk about these changes. So we have someone from Synapse coming to talk about the legislative changes and how that's impacting everyone. Earl is going to come and chat next month as well, as a director of a charitable organisation, but also Only Care from that perspective. We've got plan partners coming, so we're going to have a more specific chat about those particular changes as well. Is there anything anyone wanted to talk about when it comes to NDIS changes? Go for it.
How do you feel about the level 2 support coordination not increasing but level 1 increasing?
It's a complicated question. Look, I think support coordinators haven't had an increase for 6 years. Is there support coordinators here? Any? Yeah. So there hasn't changed for 6 years. We all know that costs have increased, not to mention the 1.7% we're all going to have to pay now for portable long service leave. Look, I think it's a kick in the guts a little bit, but is it something that we can't can we navigate through it? Sure. I guess it's the one thing that I'm seeing at the moment for me personally, and one thing that I'm open to talking about to anyone who wants to, is what are we doing about these changes as a group? One thing I'm noticing is there are a lot of line items that we don't use, not just for support coordinators in general, but how many of us actually charge the kilometre rates for travelling to participants' houses besides support work agencies? All the allied health services, how many of us are actually charging it? How many of us are actually charging for all of the non-face-to-face support we do to provide care to participants? And how many of us are actually tracking all of that properly? So what I'm trying to do now is, as a collective group of anyone we work with, is go, what are we missing here? Yes, sure, the NDIS is squeezing, but okay, fine, let's push back in a way that we know how. Let's start communicating effectively all the stuff that we are not really doing, like the 15,000 phone calls we take in order to organise something, and those things that we say, okay, well, this participant called me 40 times last week, and I didn't charge for all of them because I can't. But now this is what it takes to support the community. When I read the IPC, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I noticed in the data they were saying that they were lacking that information. They were saying that they were lacking the difference between a quality provider and a non-quality provider. So for me, the support coordination rate, the worst thing about it is is the quality of the service that the people are getting. So you're charging the same rate, everyone's charging the same rate, but what are they actually getting out of it? So we'll see. They are looking at, they're indicating or mentioning slowly that they might be some quality indicators that adjust pricing, which...
They're doing some, and I don't know if anyone this.
Yeah, this is Mike.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, look at this.
You're famous. You're going to be famous.
So cool. I feel like it's a tiny little pom-pom.
For everyone's speaker, hands up because I need a mic. So in that case, the video will so much better quality.
I saw it being handed around, but I just thought it was some little gizmo for that. I have seen, and I'm not sure if any of the support coordinators in the room have experienced this, but I do some consultant work in the sector as well, and I had done a review of a support coordination business because they had the Quality Safeguards Commission coming out to do a visit, and it was really just an information gathering expedition, I believe. So, you know, as we know, sometimes in the NDIS there's little pilots that go on, and so I think that's one of those areas to go, well, who's quality, who's not, and what they're doing with that information, who knows. My opinion is it probably has something to do with what's coming down the track in terms of navigators or whatever that might be. But I don't know, has anyone else experienced that where they've dropped in and visited? Or, I mean, they don't drop in, they announce, they send a letter, you get to say yes or no to it. And I think it gave them about a 2-week time frame for them to come round, and yeah.
I haven't yet, but I welcome them to come. I'd love to share. I'd love to talk to them about what's happening and what we can and can't do to support.
And DIA, so Disability Intermediaries Australia, they're doing a bit of work for members, but I think, you know, if you went and followed them, that probably would be a smart idea for any support coordinator or plan management orgs as well, because Jess Harper's out there championing the cause and putting together teams to kind of, I think they're doing some sessions as well, so...
Just to mention that NDIS also has set up like an investigation special unit group, and that's they're visiting providers and checking for compliances. So I guess it's important that we stay compliant and make sure that the operations what written on the service agreement is aligned.
Yep. 100%.
And conflicts of interest was the main point that the Quality Safeguards Commission were looking at when they went to see them.
We did actually notice that in our recent audit. We updated a more comprehensive conflict of interest list so that they can see exactly where it all lies. But yeah, that's true.
They asked how support coordinators help participants make decisions about provider selection as well. So it wasn't just conflicts of interest in terms of whether you were providing other services as well as support coordination, but also how you check, I guess, the quality of those providers that then you're providing suggestions if that's what the client's seeking off you. So I thought that was really interesting that was a question they were asking them.
Perfect. Any other news?
Vanya, you mentioned that they're coming out to audit providers.
Yeah.
You're talking about SILs in your... Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So I've heard that like SIL providers get unannounced visit.
Because with our SIL business, we found out we're a small company, and we found out through a new ops manager that we hired who worked at Northcott, a big company, that there's a state government scheme called the OCV. Has anyone heard of that? Official Community Visitor Scheme. And it's meant to be mandatory for all SILs to enrol, but the NDIS historically didn't communicate lists of companies with them, so not many small SILs know about that scheme. So
this scheme has been around for...
I know it's been around, but not many SILs know about it. So
there's visit from time
yeah, so you have to enrol. So there are some SILs that don't know about that. You have to enrol, and then they come out and do the visits, and you get reports and things. So it's interesting.
Well, I think we might move on to the next section, but we will be touching on all of this next month as well. So this is your...
So let's do, we do have a 15 minutes, 15 seconds pitch, and Emmanuel is going to help timing. So each of us will get 15 minutes to introduce yourself, 15 seconds. Sorry, my brain's not working. So you can tell us where you are from and who you are and what a fun fact about you. Yeah. All right. Let's start. And then once that 15 seconds up, then I'll ring the bell. All right. Start.
Right, I'm Nord from Dignified Caring. I do the community outreach there. I've been in the community space for about 12 years. I'm manager of a junior basketball club, and a fun fact is I own 2 food trucks, one in Yaguna and one that does events. It's called Grill & Co.
That's perfect timing, by the way.
All right.
Thanks. Earl from Only Care and also Connect Care. Only Care is a community provider, Connect Care is a SIL provider, and we tend to specialise, although we cover the spectrum, we do a lot more clinical, so we have a lot of nurses working for us. We do a lot of high-intensity clinical type supports. Thanks. Cramp it all in.
Go, Beth.
Hello everyone, I'm Beth. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Plan Partners. Nearly forgot my own company's name then. We are a national plan management organisation. We have a great dashboard. Give me a call. Or
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine from Tender Loving Cuisine. Tender Loving Cuisine provides nutritious meals to NDIS participants, but also home care package providers, people on a home care package. Too late for a fun fact.
Hi guys, Ariane Ari from Personalised Care. We do SIL community participation, Sydney based. Fun fact is I love skydiving, so would be keen to see any of you out there.
No, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishara and I'm a Partnership and Placement Manager from Acknowledge Education. We are a higher education provider and I look after placements and partnerships with companies to place our students. Fun fact, too late.
Hi everyone, I'm Anne. I'm from My Journey Australia. We do support coordination and I love dancing.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm a psychologist from Intertwined Health. We do psychology and behaviour support services and we train providers for free on how to reduce it and identify restrictive practices. Fun fact, I love to knit.
Oh, I had to drop it. Hi, I'm Julie from Ability Connect, support coordinator. We work with Emmanuel. We do more personalised support coordination for clients, and I honestly can't think of a fun fact.
Hi, I'm Clement. I'm an OT from Global Rehab Service. Fun fact, I'm the one presenting today.
That's a great fun fact. Hello everyone, my name is Tom. I'm a support coordinator for Leaders Care. We also do eye care as well. And fun fact is I love to snowboard.
Hi everyone, I'm Isabel. I'm a social worker in Healthview Australia. We are working in Rye area. We provide call service, SIL, and we also have a community service for non-NDIS participants. And fun fact, I love singing, so please invite me for any karaoke sections.
Hi everyone, I'll do a 360. I'm Meryl. I'm from Every Kid in Parramatta. We're just up the road. We provide speech therapy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, dietetics and psychology for children. And we work with the most complex kids.
I love baking.
Hi everyone, my name is John. I'm from Professional Leading Care Service. So we are the provider for like core and SIL, and for like a participant that couldn't talk English very well, we support people like a multicultural. And fun fact about me, like I love gaming.
Hi everyone, my name is David. I'm a behaviour support practitioner with Olasuke Disability and Atlas Projects. Fun fact, every day I try and get into the sea and swim, even in the cold. Thanks. Oh, do you want to go?
Sorry, I just arrived. What should I say?
5 seconds left.
Oh, okay. All right.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, my name's Audrey. I'm from Healthy Australia. I work with Isabel, the social worker. So we do call support, SIL, and community service. So fun fact about me, I do everything, whatever I can, to do the help the client.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Sandesh. So I'm the clinical manager of representing Reflection Care Services. So it is an organization which is mainly focusing on the intensive support care, along with in-home drop-in support, community access, and also the lawn mowing. And also, my fun fact, I love playing flute. Thank you.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria. I'm from Level Up Care Services. We provide support coordination, core, and community access supports.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Tanya. I am from JK Corporate Resourcing and I'm behaviour support practitioner and I also like baking.
I think we're gonna have to get everyone to bring goods next
No, you're baking event.
I'm Alex. I'm from Happy Escape. So we do weekend social outing, supported travel, and short-term accommodation around Australia. Fun fact: I like to eat everyone's baking.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian from Beloved Care. We service all areas of Sydney. We do support coordination and the psychosocial support as well. Fun fact, I also get people onto the NDIS and I'll be joining Isabel for the karaoke.
Hey everyone, my name's Tristan. I'm the clinical lead OT from Bloom Healthcare. We provide allied health services nationally. Fun fact is that I love wearing patterned socks. Got my flamingos on my feet right now.
Hi guys, my name's Javier. I work for 365 Care, SEAL, in-home, community supports, you know, the whole spiel. And my fun fact is that I love salsa dancing and I like hearing people play karaoke while having shots of bourbon.
Hi. Hi everyone, my name's Terence. We do transport from get picked up. Fun fact about me is probably been here too many times. I'm a regular, so I probably won't come to the next one.
He doesn't always, yeah, he always.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz. I'm from Enrich Abilities, and we are specialised in support worker services and labour hire, also a not-for-profit, so we give back a lot to the community. And fun fact, two of my favourite ladies are here. This is my old leader from NDSP, Sheree, and my newest colleague, Abru.
Okay. Fun fact, I'm clumsy, so I'm standing up slowly. Cherie from I work on strengths and skills and interests to help job seekers, young people say yeah to getting a job. Want to have a chat? I'll bring the cookies.
It's me, Ruth, from Enrich Abilities Partnership and Growth Manager. We specialize in support workers, labor hire. Fun fact about me is I love painting. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Tala, dietitian. I've been away for a while, so now today I came and joined, but always I'm late. So today I'm late too. I was struggling with finding the parking, and the same for today. Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm in from Mobility Engineering. We do everything to do with vehicle mods for people with disabilities. Fun fact, I like writing raps but not performing them.
Hi, I'm Mel. I've recently started at a new company called Kindspire, where we specialize in SEAL services as well as providing therapy and core supports. Fun fact about me is that I do competitive powerlifting.
Hi everyone, I'm Rosa from Lumia Care. I'm the Client Engagement Manager. We do everything core support, day program and SEAL. Fun fact about me, I'm a gamer.
Ooh. We're friends now.
Hi everyone, I'm Yasmin. I'm from Sabella Care. We do complex mental health, real complex mental health. Fun fact is I'm celiac, so I can't eat gluten, so all the baked goods are safe.
Hi everyone, I'm Damien. I'm the General Manager of Sabella Care, and I'm just here and hope to meet you all. That's the fun fact.
Thank you. Perfect.
All right. Perfect. Well, let's introduce our driving OT assessor from Global Rehabilitation Services. He's highly skilled. He's been working with NDIS participants with both physical and psychosocial disability since launching the driving assessment services in 2024. He has conducted on average 1 to 2 assessments per week. And in addition to the standard driving assessment, he also actively involved in all the vehicle modification process, supporting applications for both the driver and the passenger seat modifications. Let's get into it.
Thanks, Donna. Nice to meet you, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. I am Clement. I'm the OT driving assessor. So we'll be covering about driving assessment today. Just want to get to know how many of you have come across with a participant who needs driving assessment before? Oh wow, that's more than half. Fabulous. Thanks everyone. So yeah, hopefully we'll help you to get an idea how driving assessment works. And that's a bit of outline for today. So we'll start with talking about legislation, and then what is driving assessment, how driving assessment is conducted, and who requires driving assessment. We also talk about some intervention, some outcomes, obviously, and the role of service providers, everyone sitting here. So, all right, let's begin. So, legislation. So, I'll just read out the quote. The holder of a driver's license must, as soon as practicable, notify the Road Transport Authority of any permanent or long-term injury or illness that may impair his or her ability to drive safely. So, yes, so that's a legislation from the Transport New South Wales, which is the licensed authority in New South Wales. So, in short, all the drivers, they are responsible to let Transport New South Wales know that they have a condition that impacts their driving. And for people who fail to notify Transport New South Wales, there will be a legal consequence, maybe a fine, maybe suspension of license, maybe maybe a court argument for that. And yeah, so the responsibility will be on the driver. And you can see the booklet on the right side. That's actually a booklet that includes most of the medical condition that how it affects driving. And most of the doctors, myself as a therapist, we always refer to this as a guideline. So yes, and last point, driving is a privilege, not a right. It sounds quite cruel, but yes, some participants, some clients sometimes say, hey, I have the right to drive. No one can take away my license. But actually, if it's affecting safety of the community, safety on the people on the road, then yeah, it's come to a point that we have to consider if a person, license can be kept or not. So driving is a privilege, not a right. So yeah, so just some legislation, and we'll talk about the actual assessment now. So what are we doing in the OT assessment? So in broad term, we determine the impact of the client's medical condition on their ability to drive according to the licensed authority, which is Transport New South Wales here. So as an OT, it sounds like we assessing people, like if they're fit to drive, but at the same time, we want people to drive. We're not here to stop you or take away your license. We want them to drive, and we try to find ways that we can help the people to go back on the road or to get their license. Yeah, so that's my role, like as an OT, we have the knowledge about the medical condition of the person, as well as task, the components involved in in driving. So that's why we have a bridge in the assessment. So yep. And so how is the driving assessment conducted? So I break that down in four procedures mainly. So referral, and then an off-road assessment, on-road assessment, and license and reporting the result to the licensed authority. I'll talk about off-road assessment, which is we're not going on the road yet, but do some screening, physical, vision screening of the person, look at how their condition might affect driving. And afterwards, it gives us a good idea to take the person on the road, which means the on-road assessment, when we are actually driving with the participant on the road with a driving instructor, and we do the actual assessment on the road. So I got a quick video to show you guys how it works. So yeah.
Just quickly while they load it, you guys got questions, yell them out. We don't have to. Yeah, if you've got anything you want to ask, just go for it.
Yep.
I'm interested in how you approach a conversation around a participant that perhaps might want to drive, and they've been assessed previously by other people that it might not be a good idea for them, or their capacity is not so. Would you be engaged, for example, to help broach that conversation sometimes as well, or just interested to hear your take on that situation?
So let me just make sure I get a question right. So the person has got some assessment done by someone before.
Not formal.
Not formal assessment, but someone suggests that you're not fit to drive. We'll talk about it a bit more later, but if you don't mind, we'll keep that question till later. Is that okay? Yeah, we'll cover that.
So this is taking the referral, and then we do the off-road assessment here. Okay. So we start with some getting some background information. Then we do increase power for the contribution. We do start with some physical assessment, look at the strength, the coordination, the range of motion, to see if they got any pain on their arms, on their leg, and we try to make it more driving focused. Looking at how they handle maybe the brakes, accelerator. Can they coordinate with steering? Can they look at mirrors? This is sensory test. So we look if they have any sensory issues. And we do the same for both upper and lower limb. And that's the coordination. We look at the sitting balance, how long can they sit, and they maintain their sitting position. It's a very good idea. Very natural. Now we look at their vision. So we look at their eyes accuracy, their coordination with their eyes. Is there any abnormal movement with their eyes? That would take roughly an hour and a half, depending how good the participant engaging is. So that's the cognitive assessment.
They even have their learner's permit, for example?
They will have to, sorry.
They would already have to have
They will have to have their learners ready, before going to the assessment, So now we're taking the person on the road. So the person will be driving in the driver's seat. I'll be sitting at the back, looking at. Looking at drum.
Actor, he's the driving instructor.
So the driving instructor will sit on the left side.
She's got a question.
Alright.
Second time. From start to the end, like getting the reports, how long does the whole thing take?
Good question. Sorry, are you?
Let the video finish.
Okay.
Sure. So we're looking at how they're driving performance on the road. Are they making any errors? And how the
Is that his car?
That's his car. Vinny's car.
No person was harmed in this video.
Sorry. Okay, maybe that's a question for you guys. Back to the question. It takes so usually there's a time frame that let's say when Transport New South Wales say this person need to have this assessment done by a certain time, maybe in a month, maybe in a few weeks. So we don't know. But usually from taking the referral to getting like a report done, I would say that's roughly, it depends. Sometimes it takes like 2 weeks, sometimes it takes up to a month. If it's more complex situation, let's say we need modification, we need more follow-up, then it will take more time to.
Depends on case to case enough,
Depend on how complex the case,
Question.
Yeah.
What if they can't
Julie, wait,
walk,
Julie,
like
Julie,
your client was just...
What if they can't walk, say they're in a wheelchair and they obviously can't get into their own car? How would you then do your on-road assessment?
Good question. So with wheelchair transport, let's say if we maybe Julie, your question is like for a person who hasn't learned before, right? They got their license, they got their driving license. They want to learn, but they don't have the right type of vehicle, right?
Yeah.
It's usually the driving instructor. They have we call a specialized driving instructor. They're very experienced working with people with disability, and then they usually go to a mechanic like mobility engineering or other supplier. They usually have a vehicle that's accessible with for wheelchair user. So they maybe have a ramp at the back. We'll just make sure they got a right type of transport transfer aid before they actually jump on the driver's seat. So
You need to borrow a car first.
yes. So if like we're talking about wheelchair user, sometimes if a person can maybe walk a few steps, let's say, not fully dependent on the wheelchair, we might be able to have a carer, just going with them in the driving lessons. Yes, but if we're talking about someone who is fully wheelchair bound, let's say, they can't do the transfer from a wheelchair to a driver's seat, then we might need to borrow a rent vehicle that's accessible for them. So it depends on the case, and yes, what the client goals would be. Yeah. Well, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Yeah.
Can any OT do a driving assessment for someone, or do they have to have a specialist?
Yeah, so we'll have to have a accreditation for a special accreditation for driving assessment. Yeah. All right. You guys can ask any questions later on. So my question: has the participant in the video passed?
No.
Why? Okay. Why hasn't he passed?
He had sad body language.
Of course, yes.
It was using his right hand only.
It's using his right hand only. Okay, yeah, good point. Any other guess? Any other guess?
With his right knee, so how would you?
What do you mean, right knee?
His right leg.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's good point as well. So when obviously we're not having a real participant, we're just having an actor in there. But in real world, we will have a lot of modification to help that person to go back to driving or to help them with the driving. We can accommodate those single-handed, or we can have a different accelerator for if they can't use their legs, right leg, let's say. But I will leave that part with Ahmed. He will cover more with the modification later on. So, but the main reason for this person, I felt him, is that, yes, we'll go to slide 3. Because of his learning capacity. So he made multiple mistakes, the same mistake multiple times. So indicating that he can't actually learn, like making some serious errors all the time. So he uses a table just showing like how I make decision if the person should pass or should fail, or they should do some training lessons. So basically, if a person fails, like that participant at the back, so yes, he will normally he's not trainable. Like he makes multiple he make the same mistakes multiple times. Really significant high risk mistakes we're talking about, and unfortunately their license need to be cancelled. And in some situation, it might not be related to their condition. It's just some behavior, and the behavior can be corrected. Sorry.
I'm just wondering, how many errors would they have to make for you to then decide that they can't be taught to drive?
This is a good question. There's no standard. I would. It's not a driving test, like not the actual driving test you do in Surfers New South Wales. So I'm looking at how the medical condition, actually affecting the person. So if the person making, let's say, 3-4 mistakes for same mistake for the same time, it might suggest that the person condition might affecting their cognitive function. Let's say that they can't, we give feedback to you. We provide a lot of comments, and you're still making the same mistake. That's indicating that the person is not able to learn that new skills. So in that case, we have to cancel the license. Yeah. Yes, but we don't have standard. We don't have a standard. Let's say, five mistakes, 10 mistakes, then you have failed. No, it's not like that. Yeah, sorry.
So this could be the first time that that person is behind the wheel.
Sorry. The first.
So this might be the first time that that person is behind the wheel.
Yeah. So for new learner, So new learner would be a bit different. So the first, let's say, an assessment for them, it's more like we're doing the first lessons. So I'm more looking at how, and the same thing. Can they learn new skills? If the instructor says something, can he comprehend that, and can they retain that information? So, but at the same time, we keep in mind that we're not looking so much in the skill set. We're looking more in the learning capacity for new learners in that case.
Okay, if you don't mind, let me add a little bit to Mary's question first about how many mistakes did they make. Now, there was a section on the overall assessment probably people missed because it was only a few seconds. There was an assessment that I was done on the iPad. That was a cognitive screening assessment that was done to check their cognitive where they're at. So if they've passed or failed, they kind of give us some indications of where they're at the conditions. But sometimes we just need to do the on-road assessment to prove that that in the paper base that's not right. But what about in practical setting? So probably people miss as well. When I was driving, there was a couple of heartbreak I was pressing. So we do have the screening assessment to saying that there may be some issues, and then with the practical component to prove that things are not working well. So this is where that we determine that pass or fail. Now, to answer Meryl's questions about if they're first time driving. Now, Clayman will have a bit slides later on to talk about different diagnoses with clinical groups. We have different type of scenario. We didn't explain quite clearly that when I was on the video, I was pretending to be a stroke client. So I already got a license already, but because of my medical condition, the medical doctors has temporarily suspend my license. So I have to sit on the test to regain my license. So that was in that case, I should know how to drive. But Clayman will have a next slide to showing what in different category what should we do and things like that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for adding that, Howard. So back to this slide. Yeah. So I'm just showing like what's a indication for path. Let's say for intervention, or the person can correct their behavior. The person is still fit to drive, or they can just go for lesson. All right. So because we're talking about the NDIS group, and I just to be easier to read, I just divide that into 4 different groups, clinical groups. So we just mentioned the new learners. They haven't driven before. They might have developmental delay, maybe 16 years old, 17 years old person with autism, intellectual disability, or cerebral palsy. Doesn't matter. But they want to learn how to drive. So that's their goal. They come to us for driving assessment. So yeah, or it can be someone with a stroke, with spinal cord injury, with brain injury. That's a post-rehab group, and their goal would be different. They might want to go back to drive. They've driven before, but they want to go back to drive, or they want a different type of modification to update, what they're using. The third group would be existing driver. They actually have their active license. They're driving on the road every day, but they start losing their confidence to drive, or they have a license that can't, with some restriction, let's say can't drive certain kilometers because they have issues with their mental capacity, and so it's more like psychosocial groups with schizophrenia, bipolar, that kind of conditions. And the last group would be an OT, just an OT assessment request by the transport user or doctor, and they need assessment to keep the license. Okay, I'm just be mindful of the time. So yeah, there's some possible outcomes and intervention. I might just pick the first two. So new learners, their goals obviously would be learn how to drive, and yet
the main thing from OT would be helping them to apply for specified driving instructor funding. So that they can learn driving with someone who can, have experience with working with people with autism, with, let's say, anxiety or with other conditions. Like what I just mentioned. So for people with like post-rehab, stroke, spinal cord injury clients, they might need installation for modification. They might want a new mod in their car. And then, they will need to do some driving lessons to learn those new modifications as well. So yes, those are some common interventions, outcomes that we normally do. And their goals, their outcomes, they're interchangeable. We're not saying that this group can't do that. All right. Sorry, last slide. So for providers, what can we do? I think talk to the family, setting up the explore what they want to do with driving. Is that something like we have participants coming with maybe severe cognitive issues, but at the same time, like, okay, so some family might say, my kid turned 16, I want them to drive. But look, can they actually, handle those driving capacity? So as service providers, we might need to set up the right expectation for them. So I was just maybe start with a simple question. Can the participant handle simple housework? Can they handle simple calculation? If they can't, so why would you expect them to be able to drive? Driving is a very complex skills and advanced skill. You have to have good mental and physical capacity to do so. And we have to communicate the right expectation to them. The other thing we normally do with a medical assessment, we have to have a medical assessment from the doctor for most of the time before the client actually go on the road. So we have to get a clearance from the doctor first. They're the first line, the front line. So if we don't get a medical clearance, it's hard to get we don't normally get a person on the road to start driving. That's something maybe as a provider that you might want to start communicating with your participant if, let's say, if they want to drive, and making sure they have a valid license. Sometimes the license got suspended for some reason. It might be the doctor who accidentally canceled or suspended the license, and we probably just need to check with the participant, make sure that they have a valid license before they can come to an assessment. Just mindful of time. If you've got any questions, welcome to ask me after the session. I'll pass it on to Ahmed to talk more about the modification.
So thank you, Clement. We learn a lot. I'm sure that we still have many questions. So I'm mindful of time. Ahmed's the CEO of Mobility Engineering, one of Australia's leading vehicle modification providers. His business been around for 36 years. It's a family business, and he actually has done over thousands modifications per year. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Cool. So, hey everyone, nice to meet you all, and hopefully get to know you more as we progress. As said, from Mobility Engineering, we operate nationwide network of installers to be able to do mobility modifications. I guess our goal is to be able to do mobility modifications as close to the person's home as possible to ensure long-term, serviceability and maintenance with all the mods. I guess everything we do in a vehicle is aftermarket. I can't say it's going to be perfect. There's always going to be things that go wrong in life. So it's always important to be close to a regular service provider. So what we'll go through today, I'll go through the vehicle standards and regulations, just briefly sort of jot through that process and what's required for modifications. The process from our point of view as the modifier from start to finish, types of driving mods that are available. There's billions of different iterations of those modifications, so I'll just sort of go through a bit of a light overview to get you an idea of what is out there. And transferring for the driver, I guess a really good point that you brought up earlier around having accessible vehicles to be able to transfer in and out of. Driving's just one part of it. We also have to transfer into the vehicle, and we also need to store our wheelchair once we've transported the vehicle so it can meet us at our destination. So from a standards and regulations point of view, I guess there is a lot of Australian standards that apply to vehicle modifications. In a vehicle, I guess you're transporting on Australian roads up to about 110 kilometres per hour. Hard braking and accidents in vehicles as opposed to, say, for example, a power wheelchair can go up to 10 kilometres per hour. If we're comparing accidents, hard braking scenarios, there's a lot more things that can go wrong in a vehicle and can be quite severe. So we have to make sure that everything is as extremely safe as possible. And when we're in a vehicle and we're operating a vehicle on the roads, it's not just us, it's also the other community and the array of vehicles that we're all interacting with every part of the day. So everything in the vehicle has to meet an Australian standard of some kind as Part A. I'll share the slides as well so that you don't have to record all the standards that are available. The main one, there's a standard for getting in and out of the vehicle with a wheelchair, so how we assess the ramps and the hoists and transfer systems. There's a standard for the hand controls themselves and all the safety mechanisms they have to be able to be installed into the vehicle. And the tie downs or docking stations. So for example, if we're transporting from our wheelchair, it needs to be docked when we're in the vehicle, typically a power chair, and that also has to meet a particular Australian standard. We then combine that with the Australian design rules and certification system. Every single state in Australia has a different certification program. In New South Wales, there's a list of certifiers that have to sign off on every single modification that's done to a vehicle. So we get the Australian standards, we get the Australian design rules, we apply them both together, we ensure the vehicle is then meeting all of those regulations, and then we get a piece of paper at the end that says all your modifications are safe and legal to use on Australian roads. There are certain areas such as airbags in the vehicle that may have to be removed, or modification to seatbelts for certain types of scenarios, that if there is a medical reason, then we can get an exemption from that particular road rule or regulation within the Australian design rules. And that's something us as the modifier will sort of guide you through that and go, okay, yep, we're going to be, for example, removing an airbag is a very common thing with seat transfer systems and sometimes with hand controls, with knee airbags that might get in the way of the modification. So we'll alert you, and it's a pretty standardized process with Transport New South Wales anyway. It's a form you fill out, send it to them, and it's all usually within 2 weeks they send you back the exemption has been approved. And an engineering certificate is a legal requirement. So if the vehicle is not certified, something you just have to make sure from the modifier that there is certification included. If it's not certified and you do get into an accident or anything happens, nothing's covered from insurance. So you've got to make sure it's been certified. So the modification process, it's all about, I guess, working together as a team, and also there's always going to be compromises along the way, and it's deciding where those compromises are going to be most helpful for the goals of the participant at the end of the day. So what we'll do, I guess, just a quick run through, is we'll receive the initial inquiry, whether it comes from the therapist, driving OT assessor, or the client themselves. We'll then run through what their current transport is. So have they had modifications in the past? Is it a new modification they're getting? Do you have a vehicle? Don't you have a vehicle? Then we'll start going into the trial and driving assessment side of things. So if they don't have, or they're not working currently with a driving OT assessor, then we'll, I guess, advise them of that, put them in contact with a network of driving OTs to be able to sort of start that off-road and assessment process. From the trial point of view and vehicle assessment point of view, we're looking at, transferability, for example, how they're getting in and out of the driver's seat, what type of modifications that might then be allowed due to how they're transferring. So for example, it could be quite someone that's 6.5 foot, quite large, and transferring into the vehicle as it is, they're just scraping the steering wheel and dash of the vehicle, trying to get in and out of their vehicle. In that case, most likely a right-hand hand control that comes from the bottom of the steering wheel is not really going to work because it's going to be in the way of that transfer. So it might be looking into other types of modifications which we'll run through. Then we'll, once we've identified what type of controls are going to be most suitable based on the assessments for the OT, then we put in touch with either a driving instructor, which will have the modified controls in their vehicle. With some of the more specialized ones, you'll have to usually rent the vehicle from the supplier themselves. So we've got, I guess, an array of vehicles that we hire out to driving instructors if they don't have those type of controls. And for high-level controls where you're sort of using joysticks to control the whole vehicle and it's all electronic and wired into the vehicle, with that there's particular companies, there's only sort of 3 in the whole of Australia that have those modified vehicles, and there's a few of them around the country. So they're sort of a bit more, I guess, what we call the high-level assessments. They're a lot more in-depth and require hiring of specific vehicles to be able to do so. Once we've assessed all of that, we understand, okay, now we know what we need, now we know what type of modifications are required then to be able to enable that client to get moving on the road. And then we can start the whole quoting procedure and funding submission and so on. In terms of timeframes, from our point of view, from when first seeing the client to trial complete, getting towards the quote stage, that can take anywhere between a month to 6 months, depending on the complexity of the driving controls needed, the amount of lessons that might be needed beforehand, and also how high level that driving controls have to be. There's only, as I said, there's a handful of high level vehicles in Australia in general. There's about 7 or 8. So think about the amount of participants that would need that, so there might be a certain wait time until we're able to get one of those vehicles locked in. But if everything was available, I guess in a perfect world, within a month you're sort of knowing what we're going to be quoting on and going towards a funding submission. And on the funding side, it's, how long's a piece of string, flip a coin and see, we get ones after 3 weeks, and then we get ones after 18 months. So it's just a bit all over the place, and that's something I'm sure everyone in the room has been dealing with. So with the types of driving modifications, we've pretty much got 3 types. There's hand controls, foot controls, and steering controls. In hand controls, these are the most common types of modifications done in a vehicle. You've got left-hand operation, right-hand operation, or both-hand operation. With the both-hand operation, there's a few different models. So for example, I've got that one, it's a ring that's in front of the steering wheel. So it enables you to still have both hands on the steering while steering. And then there's a separate brake lever that can be used for braking. Another style of modification which enables you to also have both hands on the vehicle is one I was just speaking earlier with, got her name, and she's got a satellite hand control. So that sort of sits a bit like a glove over your hand. You accelerate using your thumb, and you're still then able to have both hands on the steering wheel and ability to say, control different functions of the vehicle, like aircon, radio, and so on and so forth. So it all just depends on, with the driving controls, we don't know what it's going to be. It's the participants themselves trying all the different styles and seeing what fits best for their needs. As I said, originally there is, in my experience, I've seen about 350 different types of hand controls out in the market and around the world. So there's something there for everyone, as how bespoke as you require. Foot controls, there are 2 styles. We've got left foot accelerators and we've got pedal extensions, so for someone of shorter stature. Left foot accelerators, typically what we would see is someone that would have had a stroke or an amputee, and we're just moving the accelerator over to the left-hand side, like in a manual vehicle where the clutch would be. That will now be an accelerator pedal to be able to use the vehicle. The brake remains exactly where it is. So it's a very minor modification. There are 3 types: quick release, one that can come in and out so that anybody else driving the vehicle can use the vehicle as per normal. Electric ones where you can flick between a right and left to decide which one you're going to be using, depending on if you require it or you don't require it. And a flip-up design, so one that just one flips up, the other one flips down, and vice versa, depending on how it's needed. With pedal extensions, there's pretty much 2 extension types. One which is just the extension on the pedals. That's for when we need 0 to 10 centimeters of extension, so we don't really need to modify anything else in the vehicle. We just need that little bit of movement. And then a stamp or with a platform, so that's someone that is quite a lot shorter and they're unable to reach anything, and the steering wheels, and then we'll slowly modify around that. Steering controls, obviously operating the steering wheel of the vehicle, extremely important. There are spinner knobs, plain and electric, just depending on if you want to use the auxiliary functions of the vehicle or not. And then the high level space drive and mini wheels, and that's where we control the whole steering of the vehicle using a joystick. So for example, a quad would be able to drive the vehicle simply by using a joystick to steer the entire vehicle. Yeah.
Just a real question, just about automation and driverless cars and all the rest of it. How far do you think Australia's off for that? And will that impact the disability sort of sector in a positive way?
Yeah. So 20 years ago, they thought driverless vehicles are going to be out in 5 years. Then 10 years ago, 2 years, and so on. When it comes to driverless vehicles, in terms of replacing vehicles on Australian roads, I think that's still potentially impossible in the long run because of the types of roads and stuff. I think it'll be in controlled spaces like CBDs, and for example, they have it right now in the Sydney Olympic Park with the driverless buses that go around. In terms of everyday driving and stuff, I don't see it being a regular thing until about 10 to 15 years from now. We're sort of more going through the EV phase, and that's the big push with us when we're dealing with Transport New South Wales in the background. That's their main push at the moment. And driverless, they're sort of understanding what's out there in the market, but from what when we spoke to them last a couple months ago, they haven't entertained it yet. So it's anybody's guess at this point. Yeah. But I think it will be an amazing thing in general. I guess, you know, even myself, I've fantasized about different times that I'll be using a driverless vehicle. Transferring into the vehicle, as I said, extremely important. It's one thing we forget about a lot. There are many different types of ways to transfer. There's plates that just bridge the gap between the wheelchair and the seatbelt, so we're not sort of, you know, taking a leap of faith. And there are swivel seats as well that can come out from the driving seating position, come completely out of the vehicle, we transfer onto the seat, and then goes back into the vehicle. Stowing of the wheelchair as well. This is done typically at the moment in, well, technically 3 different types of ways. Type 1 is collapse the wheelchair, bring it in with you. Type 2 is using a roof loader. So we've got a hoist on the roof, it'll come up, drop it down next to the driver's seating position. Or we've got type 3, which is a robot or Abbey loader, and that brings the wheelchair all the way out from the boot, opens the boot, a robotic arm comes all the way out, drops it at the driver's position. All of them will have their pros and cons. For example, the Abbey loader, really great, does not take up any room on top of your vehicle. You can go to any of your underground car parks, but you can't use your boot for anything else because this will take up all of your boot space, and you'll need that, I guess, space behind the vehicle and on the side of the vehicle to be able to lock in the wheelchair. Roof loader doesn't use up any space inside of the vehicle, but unless you have a smaller hatchback, if you've got an SUV or larger vehicle, you're going to be over 2.1 metres and not be able to fit in underground car parks. So it's all about understanding, I guess, where you're going to be transporting in the community, what are your main goals in transport in the community, and then compromising as to which option is going to be better for your needs. A bit of further information, I guess, is all the stuff if you want. Quick plug is we do have a driver training day coming in August. So if you want, let me know and we can give you some more further information on that. And thank you very much. That was a speed session. But I'll share the slides as well so you can email it out and if you need any of that info.
Thank you, thank you. I apologize that we run a bit over time, so we still got one more sections that hope that that I want to focus on. So I would like to say everyone welcome Adele, which is our participants, that has been accessing to modified vehicle, and then would like to get her first experience and sharing the whole NDIS journey. Welcome, Adele. Thank you. Okay, so this section is more like a interview, like asking question based. So I just only got 2 questions, but that's fine. But after that, I can open all the questions to the audience. That if you want to know anything specific on the driving experience with the disability. Now, the first question I want to ask you is, in general, what are the challenges that you find out when you are driving with conditions?
So a little bit of background. I was a completely new learner driver, and then I had to go through the process of getting my Ls and learning to drive a modded vehicle. And that was a challenge in itself because there's no, like, it wasn't even discussed here. How does that even happen? So the sort of general challenges, I'll start with like driving assessment.
Yep.
I had my learners for 2 years before I actually could get assessed properly and get all that done so that I could drive.
The reason being that so long? What was the reason being taking so long?
St. Joseph's.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, so so Adele was getting the driving assessment through a public hospital system. So usually they have a little bit more waiting list, just to give some background. Yep.
When I was with the OT process, I was told what I would prefer instead of actually letting me have a go. So actually in the car, I was told, okay, you would want to do this, this, and this. And I started with an O-ring, and I could hold on to that short term, but I couldn't really, my hands weren't big enough to hold the O-ring and the steering wheel. Yet the OT decided that was the one that I was going to have, and that was that.
So there wasn't much option that was provided at that time?
The options afterwards were quickly trial this, no, that's not for you. So it wasn't actually giving me the time or space, and I'd never driven before. So I had to sort of, okay, we're going with that. When I
so
was,
the vehicles, if you don't mind asking, the vehicle at that time was belong to the hospital, am I right?
yeah, so
And then it was already have some.
they had lots of mods that they could interchange. So like I tried push-pull system and wasn't strong enough to do that. The O-ring, which the OT was dead set on me getting, wasn't really appropriate either. And the satellite was trialled for about 2 seconds before she said, no, that's not going to be it.
Okay.
What's the satellite?
It's what I use now. So
Oh, okay. So they say
so,
not. Okay,
yeah, they said-
you're gonna go back to that.
yeah,
You're gonna,
they said that wasn't for me until I got a driving instructor, and he said, okay, well, let's trial them in a bit more depth. And we actually spent like a good half an hour on each mod and figured out what would actually be more useful.
So just for the audience to understand, so when they do the trial, the OT assessor was there.
Yep, she was in the back seat.
To the back. Okay, got it. So there's actually a driving instructor that actually insists to trial.
So I ended up having to. I guess that was one of the challenges. Because my car wasn't modded, NDIS wouldn't provide funds to mod a car until I was on my Ps. So they funded 120 hours of driving.
Specialized driving instructor, yep.
But that takes a while when you can do 1 to 2 hours a week. And so by the time my learners expired in 5 years, I had to resit that to then to be able to do the rest of my learner hours.
So what you're saying that is because of the limitations of the specialized driving instructor time frame. So you're 100 hours? Is
120.
It? So it take a long time for you to complete.
It took 6 years.
Okay, all right.
Like all up.
So when the license expired, what do you mean by be assessed? Do you need to be assessed by the OT driving assessor again?
No, that was okay. I had to reset my Ls.
The computer. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then it didn't really, it just drew it out like a really, really long time. And being told what I could and couldn't do, it wasn't really assessing me. It was like, this will be best for you. Okay, do this. So actually having that time and space as a new driver to learn how to use each mod, figure out what was correct, was,
Yep. Okay, cool. Got it. Yep. Good. Okay. So I would believe the pro process was another 6 years that, or another time that when you finish all your driving lessons,
Yep.
then you go on the sit on the test, and I
Yep.
believe that after that it was smooth. When you got the license, then you were fine, you passed and everything.
Yes.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad. Okay, cool. Okay, that's good. That is a big challenge, in fact. Now, so my other question to you is now asking about the NDIS journey. Now, from what Clayman said and from Armin said, everything's so wonderful and things like that. Like when you come into the the vehicle modification process, like what is your experience? Can you share that with us? What is the real life experience?
The NDIS just not funding vehicle mods was the hardest thing. That was the most challenging thing. But the actual getting the mods put in the car took like 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it was quite straightforward because I had the mods I needed. I knew what I needed. I needed a lever, brake, and a satellite that was corded and not Bluetooth. And my car, so someone came and picked up my car. That was taken to their mechanic shop, all modded, and then brought back.
Okay, so all that was done. So pretty much by the funding approved, it only
Yep.
takes 3 weeks to do the
Yeah,
installation.
once the funding was approved.
Okay, but thank you NDIS for doing that. Don't get me wrong, but we understand sometimes it will take a bit longer. But I guess there was a lot of demand of that, so sometimes delay maybe happen. So now after when the installation was done, was there any training afterwards, or what's the goal afterwards?
The person that did the mods, they sat in the car while I drove, just to make sure I knew how everything worked. Because the mods I have can be swapped over, so someone with feet can do the pedals. It just was making sure I knew, okay, that button swaps the mods, and it wasn't really that much difficult. Yeah,
Obviously, drive them afterwards, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah, good, perfect. Now, you actually brought up a very interesting question. Is now obviously the modification was done by you specifically. So can the other person, let's say if you've got a friend, and things like that, would that be, or mom and things like that, would they be able to drive the same vehicle?
They
or what's
can,
the-
yeah, they can drive the same car. They can't use the mods because on your license you need to be approved to use mods. So that's why it's set up in a way that mods can be sort of turned off. Like the lever obviously stays there for the brake, but you can use the brake pedal,
Got it.
and then the satellite can be turned off, so you can just accelerate normally.
Yeah. So back on old question, I think.
what's a satellite?
What's a satellite?
It like holds around your hand, and there's a little lever, and then you push that lever, and that accelerates. So it means you can keep 4 fingers on the steering wheel and accelerate with your thumb. So it's kind of like Mario Kart. In my brain, that's how I was taught to drive. It's like Mario Kart. And then the lever was put in a position where I can brake with my wrist. So I accelerate my thumbs. I can keep both hands on the steering wheel. But I can brake with my wrist. But there is some limitations with mods in like. The first thing my driver instructor said to me was, look, I'm not going to actually be able to teach you how to drive. We're going to figure this out together because there's going to be things that I can't do that we're just going to figure out. And one of those is I can't let go of the steering wheel because I can't hold it with 4 fingers and to brake. So it's always a decision between braking and accelerating because it's the same hand. So I've either got to brake early and indicate or indicate early and brake. So it's a lot of figuring out what processes work for you. And specifically with steering, I can't get my arm all the way over the steering wheel, so it's like moving the steering wheel in a specific way. So, yeah, the satellite is the button bit.
So, but how do you find the experience on the road? Sounds like how you're driving needs a bit more effort than other.
You say effort in other people, but I don't know any other way of driving. Okay. So it doesn't really, it's not really thought for me. But if someone was going from driving normally to driving with mods, I reckon that would be quite difficult.
But what about the other road user? Do you get some frustrations and beeping and things like that? Like, does it happen or?
No,
just the same annoyance as with
There's a button for the horn, but I also we wouldn't know this.
Okay, have any people have any questions to ask Adele? Yes? Anyone?
I just want to say as well, I think it's important for the 6 years, for example, that's quite ridiculous, I think, from a time it would take to get mods. And it's something I guess we've also been trying to speak and push with NDIS is, like, I guess probably a lot of people know when it was created, the whole thing was to get people with disabilities to be able to work in the workforce, earn money, pay taxes, and be able to pay for the scheme, I guess. And if something's, for example, like, I would look at it and go, okay, if you're funding a vehicle mod to be able to learn the lessons, you'd be able to then be able to get your license within 12 months and be able to be part of the workforce and be an active member of the community a lot quicker, and will be spending more money in the community a lot quicker, and then would result in a lot more payback of that money back into the scheme in a roundabout way. So yeah, like hearing that for me was like, I guess we hear it all the time, where it's because of having to hire the vehicle and the 120 hours you have to do with the Ls, something that would take an L driver without needing mods 12 months can take 6 to 7 years, and that's a massive gap without being able to properly access.
Are there advocacy organisations that can assist with that specific?
Once I had 80 hours, it was sort of raised like, hey, look, we've already got this many hours, would you fund, to the NDIS, would you fund mods? And they said no, like you need 120, sorry, flat out no. So yeah, just took a really long time. And I must say I was quite annoyed having to sit at the test the second time. It's just really annoying.
Cool.
I've got just a general question, and I mean, it could be for anyone in the room. I've got a young person who's interested in getting their license, and they have literacy skills, but they find it really difficult to read the manual. Is anybody in the room aware of like audio books for the learner's manual or anything like that? You are?
I think on the screen it will speak the questions to you. So there is on the actual test. Yeah.
Oh, that's just for the test. I'm talking about like the study book, yeah.
The only thing, because I've had similar participants and we've practiced together, the only thing we've done is just redo the test over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For new questions.
That's what my kids said, because that's what they did. Exactly.
In the past, from my experience,
Yeah, there's apps that you can use on the computer that voices out what you're looking at. So definitely look at that.
Yeah, download the PDF.
It's like a speech to text. Yeah, text to speech.
Yeah.
So there's programs like that on the computer that you can download.
I'm assuming no easy read versions of the manual that anyone's come across?
I know there's different languages, but...
GitHub Service New South Wales, was it Transport New South Wales, should hopefully have that, but maybe not.
There might be a video that you want to read.
There's a
what I'll write my own if I have to.
The Intellectual Disability Council has a lot of easy read documents. I wonder if maybe someone else.
Good point. Thank you.
That's a good point.
So in the past, we have like therapists, OT or speech to assist with like the person helping to go through the handbook. However, at the end, it's come back to the test, but then the L plate is only the beginning. The driving, the driving part is another big challenge.
Of course, yeah.
There is apps with practice L tests on them as well.
Yeah. Thanks for all the tips, guys.
Just a question for Clement. On your slides, on the clinical one, I didn't notice sensory like audio or spectrum of vision. Do they go under another stream? Like if, for example, when someone goes to have a driving test, they have glasses that's done it there. So are they considered still through you, or are they done through a different stream?
Yeah, that will be another stream. Yeah, so they might need a speech supported, let's say, or they might need a specialist hearing or specialist to get involved in that learning process. Because we focus mainly on the actual driving part.
Any more questions from the audience? If not, I would say thank you for Adele to helping us to present the presentation. On behalf of Building Bridges, we do have a little gift for you to say thank you for coming and helping us. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for attending Building Bridges event today. Hope we have learned something new, and any questions, feel free to contact relevant speakers today, and we'll have an event last Thursday of each month. So we'll have our next event in July. Our topic will be the new price guide and
the new NDIS, basically.
Yeah.
So we've got some big speakers coming. There's the head lawyer at Signup. If anyone's familiar with them, they're coming out. Plan Partners is coming out. Earl is going to join us as a director of a charity, as I was saying, and a president of a charity, sorry, and a director of a company, support worker company, to come out and talk about all these changes as well, all together. So feel free to join us. It'll be a big conversation.
Yeah, if you have time, we'd like to have a group photo together, and feel free to stay around and get some food and networking.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Next time we're more mindful with time. Sorry. Thank you.